Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. You're welcome once again to our podcast, Teens, Tech, and AI. Today, we have an amazing guest for you. I'll let him introduce himself. Bismillah.
Jazakallah khairan.
Wayakum.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Adiyan. I'm a student at UW. I'm currently in the CS program. This is my second year now, and I've known Abdul Aziz for, long time, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
From Ramadan at Mavs and, always seeing him around. Really good meeting him.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you so much for taking the time. So before you dub, before high school, take us way back, sort of like take us back to like your middle school or even elementary. Where did you do elementary school and sort of like into middle school, and then we can go from there.
hmm So I was born here. I was born in
Mhm.
Bellevue, but when
Mhm.
I was 7, I moved to Bangladesh, which is where my
Okay.
parents are from.
Okay.
So middle school, really where I started, gaining conscious happened in
Hmm.
Bangladesh.
Okay.
So that's where everything started, basically. All my, being in tech and all that.
Hmm.
Just from the beginning, my
Hmm.
introduction to tech happened because my dad is in tech. He's very techy. He loves tech. Anything like robotics and everything like that as well. It's a hobby for him. But he's in, he works at Amazon right now, so it's always been more than a hobby. It's been like his profession. Um, so obviously, my dad loving tech, he wanted us to love tech as well. So I have two sisters. He tried to get them into tech. They were like, "No, it's not for them." But for me, I liked it. It's quite nice having that power over a computer, being able to do things they normally can't do. And it's a really good feeling.
Hmm.
And definitely, the more you learn, the more you realize that there's really no bounds to what you can do. Technology keeps improving. When I was small, there wasn't any of this AI stuff.
Hmm.
It was
Hmm.
just on a computer. I remember I'd make programs in C sharp. That's how I started. And compared to now, that's nothing. I was making small calculator programs.
Hmm.
Uh, but now, subhanAllah, you can do so much with it. But really, that's how I got into it.
Interesting. So take me back. I think you talked about like when you were 7, you moved back to Bangladesh. And I think maybe like parents or even like some teens like would have had that experience. How was that like for you? Like you grew up here, you sort of knew here and all of that.
Yeah, so the biggest difference was family, right? Like alhamdulillah here, my family was the community at Maps and everything. But it's different when it's, your cousins, your uncles, everyone, they're all around you all the time. It's a really good experience. I definitely recommend it, and I think it gave me really good values that a lot of people who lived and grew up in America wouldn't have. And these aren't necessarily like Islamic values. I'm talking like cultural values. I learned the language very well, alhamdulillah. And now, it's really nice because when I visit, I can talk to my grandma, my uncles, and I can talk to them Bangla. We just converse naturally. Whereas a lot of people I know, they have trouble connecting with family because there's a cultural gap.
Hmm.
So alhamdulillah, I'm very glad that I was able to live in Bangladesh for a couple of years. Really got close to a lot of family.
I see.
So it's
Interesting.
really nice.
So talk me through sort of like how you remember the whole experience when your dad told you about like, okay, bro, you have to move to Bangladesh. How did that conversation go? How did you feel? Was it just like, let's go, or like there was something else even between that period?
So I was 7, so I don't
Hmm.
remember much, but I can tell you that, it's like moving, it's like exciting. So I was excited. And then we moved because my grandma was sick. My dad's grandma, my dad's mom, uh, she was sick and my dad wanted to spend some time with her. So alhamdulillah, we moved, we got some time with her. And I think if I hadn't had family in Bangladesh, I would have been groaning. I'd be like, let's go back, right? But at the beginning, of course, the excitement and then having family there, it was a really good experience. No complaints, alhamdulillah.
I see. So how long were you in Bangladesh for?
We were there about 7 years. Yeah,
So it's sort of
alhamdulillah.
basically almost like your middle and some part of like your high school then.
Right before high school. Yeah, right
I
before I
see.
did high school here, alhamdulillah. So right
Okay.
before high school.
So how sort of like how was the so I think most people probably have like the difference of like, oh, maybe the schooling won't be the same. How was like the rigor of your studies? How was like your education even back there? such that you're able to come back and sort of just continue? Yeah. How was it like?
Hmm. So Bangladeshi education, they follow the British standard. So like O levels, A levels,
Hmm.
if you've heard of that. Okay.
Yes, we have the same in Nigeria. Yes.
Oh, mashallah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Alhamdulillah.
Yes.
But okay, there's a couple of things. There's a lot to talk about Bangladeshi education versus American education, right?
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference is Bangladesh, they're more advanced in a couple subjects. For example, math. The biggest difference I found was when I moved here, I started high school. I had done, let's say, two levels of math above what high school starts at already. Like I was at a class 11, like grade 11
Mm-hmm.
standard,
Mm-hmm.
whereas they start at, grade 9 standard.
Mm-hmm.
That's some of the good stuff. They're a little bit advanced, but the bad stuff is, a lot of things, it's like memorization. It's very memorization focused. They have big exams and that's it. They don't really have any, here we have homework and assignments. Those are parts of your grade. There it was just, the final exam and half yearly exam. That's it.
I see, man.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's super interesting then. So, what sort of like stuff did you then do also like even in Bangladesh, beyond like school? What type of interest did you like even pick up in like Bangladesh? Did the tech thing start with your dad even there, or like then it's when you came back here? How did your immersion into tech happen?
Yeah, yeah. So what's good is they have wait, let me show you actually. I can
Mm.
show you. So there's this thing called, I don't know if you can read it, Tech Shop BD.
Yes.
This is so my dad, he loved tech.
Yeah.
So what was good is he found this source in Bangladesh
Hmm.
where they import little tech things from all across and they sell it and pretty cheap, not too expensive. So whenever he wanted to do a project or something, he always had this. So he'd always order stuff from here. And since I was always around, I always saw these things coming in, these little cool little electronic chips and everything. And so I got start interested in them, right? Um, so so when I started coding C sharp, a little bit, that was when I was like 8 or 9. That wasn't, I wouldn't really call it coding. It was just exploring a little bit, right? But as I got older, I started fiddling with Arduino, um, and then just small electronics. Think about like SMS modules, right? Gas sensors. Um, and that's when I started working with Arduino, which is C-based. So it's a little bit more advanced than C sharp. Um, but it was really fun, working with electronics and seeing how you can do so much with little things. It was really nice. But that's how I started getting to, the robotic side of it.
Interesting. So even let's even go back to that 8 and 9. Do you remember the earliest memory of even like what got you into C sharp? But what was that experience like?
That's a good question. Um, it was just okay. The earliest memory I have is just
Mhm.
the program. I made a little calculator program. But I don't remember what got me into it really. It was just, I just remember making it.
I see, I see. So you were making like calculator stuff. I'm sure like maybe it was easy or hard at some point. Like how did you even just like because going from just like learning C sharp to building a calculator, I think there's some level of like learning at least. What
Mm.
sort of like kept you going to like learn the variables, learn all of this, and then like make the calculator? How did you make those leap?
Well, I had a great resource. I had my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I hit a roadblock, I'd be like, "Hey, help me
Hmm.
out."
I see, I see.
Uh, so that was the biggest thing. Otherwise, I would have given up. So at
Hmm.
8 or 9, and like people, kids, they give up really easily.
Interesting. So sort of talk me through some of how those moments with your dad used to be like. So you have a bug, he's probably busy. You're back in Bangladesh, and he has his mom. How were all of those things like playing into like the dynamics of like you getting his time and doing all of those things?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, alhamdulillah, in Bangladesh, my dad was working for mainly Samsung for a couple of years, and then he moved around to like startups. So what happened is compared to working here, he had a lot more time for us. Uh, so much time, in fact, that I remember he started his master's degree online. So every night I'd see my dad at the computer, working. on his master's degree, and I'd hear from him about what he was learning, right? So that also helped a lot in keeping me interested.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, like I said, he had more time to give us, right?
Mm.
So we spend time together. We'd spend time
I
just
see.
programming, fiddling around with electronics, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And it's
Interesting.
very different. The culture, the work-life culture in Bangladesh is very different to here.
I see. So then I think like you mentioned something. You have two sisters, you said, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
I guess like your dad was spending a call same time with you and like with your sisters. Why did you think like you picked it up and like you were interested and your sisters were like, this tech is not for us. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my older sister, she's good at programming. Like like if you talk to her, she has the programming brain. Like she can think in terms of this, right? But it just didn't hit for her for some reason. Alhamdulillah, she's also UW. She's doing pre-dental. But she always liked working with small things, jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
So inshallah it's good for her, but she just didn't like it.
I see. I
It just
see.
didn't hit for her.
I see. So you still think the same time was spent, but it was just like what people were interested in, basically.
Yeah, 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 of course.
I
Different
see.
people have different interests.
Mm,
So
I see. So then how did like sort of moving from like doing like C sharp, how did seeing all of these small devices dad brought moved you into like doing Arduino? Like how did that transition happen?
yeah. So most of these small things that he brought, they were modules that were interfaceable with Arduino, right? I think there was Raspberry Pi as well, but at the time that was too high level for me. So I just got started with Arduino. Uh, and what's really good is Arduino has so much support that you can find base programs. You can find, there's like what do you call these? Um, like Stack Overflow. You can
Mm-hmm.
find issues and bugs and fixes for those everywhere. So it was a really nice platform to get started on.
Mm-hmm.
Arduino is very well built
Mm-hmm. I see.
for beginners, right? So it was really
Mm-hmm.
good.
So then, like, I'm sure, like, you have school, you have to do all of like this memorization, all of that. What kept bringing you back to say, like, when you finished school work, you wanted to work on like those things? Because I don't think they were like part of school, right?
No, no, no. It was more school. It was just fun. It's just like a hobby.
Mm.
Uh, it's not like work or anything. It's nothing like what do you call this? Like work is something that you don't want to do. This is something
Mm-hmm.
that's fun. It's like
Mm-hmm.
playing a game.
Interesting. So I guess like some people say like, oh, I play games for like fun. And some people like what you say like I'm doing it for fun. Like, what was like your definition of fun like back then? Like, why was it fun? Like, because like you have to probably do some stuff and it's difficult and it maybe doesn't work. Like, what made it fun for you?
Building, seeing the end product, being able to convert an idea into something that's actually working. That's the biggest thing.
I see. So then, like, for somebody probably like doesn't use Arduino or doesn't know about it, and like maybe they're interested in even getting something like that for their kid. Like, what is Arduino? How does it work? And how did your level like progress on like multiple things there?
Yeah. Well, so obviously, there's a lot of advanced technology out there. There's a lot of ways to convert ideas into reality, right? Think about like smart homes, all of this, that, right? Arduino is a little low powered, but a very manageable environment. Think about it like this. If you want your kid to start driving, how about you give them a little toy car instead that you can drive, right? It's like that. It's low powered, but there's less room for going crazy and breaking the machine, kind of, right? Really, you can't break an Arduino machine. You have to try really hard.
Mm,
They also have really good modules that you can use that aren't too complicated. In real life, if you wanted to implement like a gas sensor module, you would have to put a lot of effort into it to making sure it's compatible, all that. Arduino just gives you the module, and it's very compatible. You just plug it into pins, and you have it.
mm,
There's also lots of support, like I was saying. So for a beginner, you have all the resources you need.
hmm.
Compared to something a lot more high powered. For example, there are these chips that called ESP. Have you heard of ESP?
No.
No, ESP is more high powered. It has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, has Zigbee as well. So for ESP, you need a lot more time and you need to learn a lot more about ESP compared to Arduino, where there's resources everywhere. You just Google something, you find what you need.
Mm, I see.
So that's the biggest thing about Arduino.
I see. So then, like, so you started C sharp. Now you've done Arduino. Then how did your progress? Like, how did you progress from that?
Hmm. Well, C sharp. And then Arduino is C-based. But
Yes.
even then, the programming for Arduino was just Arduino, right?
Hmm.
I couldn't take that anywhere else at the time. And then in school, we started doing basic. Basic is, very outdated,
Hmm.
but all it did was invigorate me even more, right? Because I was like, oh, I've done some of this. Like, I can see there were for loops and while loops in basic, and I was like, hey, I know what these are.
Hmm.
Um, and then I moved into Python because Python is a very, very easy but powerful language.
Hmm.
And you can do a lot with it. And Python, that was when Python was getting big. This is, I want to say, um, 2016, 2017, around that time. Oh, wait, no, no, no. Yeah, around that time.
Hmm.
This is when everyone uses Python, right?
Hmm.
And then even big companies were switching to Python. Uh, so I really got into Python, and then basically spent my entire middle school up until high school with Python only.
Hmm.
Only after I moved did I get into Java and JavaScript and all that. But back then it was just Python.
I see. So then, like, you were learning like Python, you do like all these loops, all of these fundamentals of programming. What did you use Python to do all of back then? Were you still doing like the calculators? Were you using it for Arduino? What did learning Python make you do?
Python, I started learning through all these different coding websites, I used Code.org, Codecademy, Udemy as well. I did some Python courses. But the only thing is because I'm doing it on courses, the most Python that I was doing was for the courses, on the websites and everything. I didn't really do any Python projects. Did I? No, no, no. Not until I moved here. I didn't do any Python projects. It was all just Python for learning, basically.
I see. So by the time you finish from Bangladesh, then you've done C Sharp, you've done C, and you've had some very good experience with Python, and you come back to the US for high school. How
Hmm.
did that happen then, and what transitions happened then when you moved back?
So the main reason we moved back is because so the whole O level A level system in Bangladesh,
Mm.
it's it's basically your whole career is dependent on those grades, right? Compared to here, it's a lot better, and especially the university system here is better as well. In Bangladesh, basically, once you do your O level and A level, all the good universities are in England or Australia, right? So that you end up going there. But for us, alhamdulillah, being residents of Washington as well, we have really good universities here, and they give good tuitions as well. So we decided to move back for high school, and then, eventually university as well. So moving back, we moved actually mid-COVID.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
2020, we moved in August, I think. So, we kept getting our flights canceled because the flights didn't happen, right? And then when we finally got the flight, we were wearing face masks, face shields, gloves, it was crazy.
Interesting. Wow. So then you move back, now you have all of this knowledge, and then you're planning hopefully for college. What did you then do like in high school with all of this knowledge that you gained? What clubs did you do? What did you do?
hmm So the thing is, I could have done a lot more,
Hmm.
but I'd never been to high school here, and um, so I definitely like going back. I could have done a lot more. Freshman year was actually online. So I basically got 3 years in high school. Um, I joined the robotics team. I didn't really do anything there. I joined the programming team. We did some hackathons and everything. It was much less than I could have done. And then I joined like some sports teams, badminton, soccer, Um, but I'd advise everyone who's in high school or things right now that once you get to college, you realize that, oh, high school wasn't that bad, you know? Uh, the courses, the workload, everything. We're looking back, I could have done a lot more. I had a lot of time. I just wasted it.
But I mean, like, what gives you like that impression like you could have done more? Like, what could you have done?
Well, just talking about like projects, personal projects that I could have done. I had the capacity, I had the knowledge, but I just didn't do it.
I
Uh,
see.
so I'd advise, okay, once you start getting to tech, you realize that every problem that you see,
Hmm.
I want to say at least 50% of these you can solve using tech.
Hmm.
And not like big, massive tech, right? The small tech, think tech that you can buy off Amazon, you know? Um, for example, let me give you an example. So our garage, we kept leaving it open. And then our neighbor would call us and say, "Oh, your garage is open." Uh, so then we'd have to, go and close it. So um, ESP8266 is a small controller. Like I say, it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. I bought two ESP8266 and a little display. And I put one on the garage. I also bought an accelerometer. Um, so it's like a gyroscope, right? So whenever the garage is open, it senses it's open, and it sends a little ping inside the house where the other one is waiting, and it has a display that says, "Oh, the garage is open," right? So small things like this is I want to say how much did it cost? $15 maximum, right? So small things like this you can solve with just a little bit of tech, a little bit
Hmm.
of coding, right? So there's a lot that you can do with tech.
Hmm.
There's a lot you can do with small tech, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so definitely don't, uh, definitely don't think problems are too big to solve.
Hmm.
Always just give it a try.
I see. I mean, it's interesting you say that though, but like, what do you think? Like, so we run a program at MAPS, the accelerator program. One of the biggest
Hmm.
issues you also have is when we tell teenagers to think about like problems to like solve. Why do you think like people have like this idea of like not even thinking they can solve them or just like not even solving problems at all? Like, why did you think that exists even now that you have the experience more?
So the biggest thing I'd say is not having the knowledge of tech. For
Hmm.
example, if I hadn't known about ESP, right? I would think, oh no, how do I figure out if the garage is open or closed, right? Actually,
Hmm.
at the beginning, my idea was, you know what mercury switches are, right?
No, what is that?
Okay, a mercury switch is a switch,
Mm-hmm.
has a little drop of mercury inside, and
Mm-hmm.
mercury is conductive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when
Mm-hmm.
you flip the switch around,
Mm-hmm.
it's not connected anymore.
Yes.
You flip it back around, the mercury touches both nodes, and now it's
Yes.
connected.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, well, I can use the mercury switch on the garage,
Mm-hmm.
so that when it turns around, it's not connected anymore.
Uh-huh.
And then I find out, hey, you can just use an accelerometer because
Uh-huh.
that does all the tilt and everything by
Mhm,
itself.
mhm, mhm,
So not having the knowledge is the biggest thing
mhm,
of technology, what technology you can use, what's
mhm,
available right now to you.
mhm,
Uh, Once you know that, now
mhm,
you know what problems you can solve, right?
mhm. I see.
So
Wow.
yeah.
That's pretty interesting though. But then I think like now that you're in college, you're sort of like looking back at all of this and maybe say like I'm a teenager, you're like trying to advise me on like how to even like get all of this knowledge. How did you think you would have gone back to be exposed to more of this knowledge if you were to go back?
Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize, but all these all this knowledge is out there,
Mm,
free, open to everyone, right? Every major college, most of them they post their courses online for everyone to see, right? So you can go do that. You can do Udemy courses. There's a lot of courses on, microcontrollers, working with IoT devices, right? So you can do all of these. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of commitment. But if you put that time in, it'll definitely be worth it.
I see. Okay, so then now we've gone through all of this, you've seen the problems, you've solved some of them, and you're deciding like college. How did you decide what you wanted to do with college? How did you decide like to UW and sort of how was that period like from transitioning from college, high school to college?
Hmm. So, alhamdulillah, for me, I like a lot of subjects. I like biology, chemistry, physics a little bit less,
Mm,
but all of these, alhamdulillah, I like and I'm good at as well, alhamdulillah.
mm,
But the biggest thing for me going into college was I don't want to be in school for 10 years, 12 years, you know? Otherwise, I would have done pre-med. But CS was a degree that I could do in 4 years, basically just your undergrad, and get a good salary, good starting salary, and has really good career progression as well, right? It's not like you're stuck in one place. That was the biggest thing when choosing CS, and alhamdulillah, my options were basically UW
mm,
because it's in state. Um, if I got something really big, like Stanford, MIT, right?
Mm.
Then I would have gotten out of state. But
Mhm.
my option for in-state was basically just UW. Alhamdulillah, it's a really good school. And UW CS at the time especially, it was very hard to get into, very renowned. I think it was eight in the world. I think it still is eight in the world. Or eight in the US. US probably.
Mhm.
Um, so alhamdulillah, I decided to apply for UWCS. And it just so happened that the year after I get in, it becomes, the CS becomes absolutely bad.
I mean, we're gonna talk about that part actually. That's very interesting to come to. Did you do like the Running Start program? Did you do any of those?
No, no, no. So this is another thing. So since we hadn't been exposed to the high school system here, when we were coming into high school, we were like, oh, there's this thing called Running Start, right? But we didn't really know what it was. Now I know, and my little sister, she just went into high school this year. We're making her do Running Start. It's a really good program.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really good. We did IB though.
And what's IB?
IB is International Baccalaureate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like AP. Um, they're a little bit harder courses, and you have an exam at the end of the course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they give you some credits for college. But
Oh,
if anyone watching is interested in like AP versus IB, um, basically the only time IB is useful is when you're going out of the US.
oh,
Because they don't take AB credits outside the US most of the time. They do take IB credits though.
uh,
Um, but other than that, IB is oh my God, it's so bad.
so do they take IB within the US?
They take IB within the US, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Like at
see.
UW, alhamdulillah, a lot of credits I got through IB.
I see.
Um, but
Interesting.
the amount of work you have to do, like for
Mhm.
example, we have to do a research essay for every subject.
Oh,
English, math, physics, whatever it is.
I see.
Um, but the amount of work you do does not translate well. Like it's not a good return on investment.
I
So
see. I see. Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so now you get into UW, and now we're gonna get to the part of the whole conversation where we've done the teams. Now we're talking about like tech and AI. You've decided to do
hmm
tech, and now AI is here. And like you're thinking about all of this. Sort of when this old wave of ChatGPT and all of this started, how were your thoughts like? What were you thinking like?
So at the very beginning, when was this? When was ChatGPT released?
I think
2023,
22,
right?
23. Yes,
Yeah,
23.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it came out when I was in high school. And then by the time I was in college, it already be like 1 year already, right, of
Yes.
ChatGPT. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started using it way early, right, like high school. Um, so at the very beginning, we were all surprised at like how advanced it is, right? Um, because uh, it takes a lot to wrap your mind around it. Like out of nowhere, they come up with this chatbot that seems to know everything. Um, and it was surprising to a lot of people in the industry as well because you hear about it, you hear about oh they're working on LLMs and all that, but you never really realize how fast it's progressing
Mm-hmm.
until you actually you see the ChatGPT up front.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but alhamdulillah, I got lots of good exposure, mainly as a customer. I was just using it, using it for to learn, using it to do my schoolwork sometimes.
Interesting. So then, like, this whole thing is here, and you're applying for like CS also. Like, at what point did you begin to like understand like what the impact of this would be in like jobs in the future, or like now, when did you begin to like sense and think about all of that?
So unfortunately, I realized after I got into university, I was talking to a bunch of, professionals,
Yes.
and then they were like, "Oh yeah, so the impact of AI on the job industry." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." Now I know. But yeah, the thing is, um, it's very interesting thinking about it because on one hand, you're thinking about making every process more effective. Um, for example, I know a friend of mine, he has his own startup where basically they go around dental offices in the US. Dental or what's the thing where they do the skin?
Oh,
Um,
dermatologist.
Dermatologists, yes, 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 yes.
Yes. Hmm.
Um, and basically they make everything more efficient. That's the thing, right? So let's say they had a process where a human would sit and take calls all day. They were like, hey, you could just put an AI agent right here, right? Because it's very simple things. It's making an appointment or canceling an appointment, right? These are all things you don't need a human for. Um, so for me, a lot of people I know they brought up some moral concerns about, hey, you're using AI to replace humans, right? But I thought about it and I realized that every process where you're making things more efficient,
Mm.
it's not really that you're replacing humans. It's that, you know, I don't know how to say this. I feel like if you're working at an intersection where your job is based on an inefficiency,
Yes.
then your job's in danger.
Hmm.
Because the moment they make things more efficient, why do they need you for?
Interesting.
Whereas if you're working to make things more efficient,
Mm.
that's where your job is kind of secure, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you an example. All these AI layoffs, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, they are laying off. Okay, also some another thing about these AI layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of these layoffs are happening due to investor pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I know companies like Amazon,
Mm.
um, it's not that they don't need these people. It's that the investors are like, hey, this whole AI thing, right? So where's the outcome? We want to see the numbers. And they don't care about people. So, but I feel like once that bubble pops, there
Mm.
will be some more hires, inshallah.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping because I want to be one of those hires. But
I,
inshallah, but
Inshallah. So then,
yeah.
like, sort of with all of this happening, sort of like, I'm sure you went into college with one type of game plan, and all of this happened. What is all of this making your game plan look like now? Like, hoping the whole thing pops. If that doesn't pop, what are you think? How is like your whole game plan changing? How are you
Yeah.
seeing your friends' game plans also change with all of this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The biggest thing has been, I think, if none of this happened, AI and
Mm.
all that, right? We would probably be on track to just graduate and then just go into, a job or something.
Mm-hmm.
But what this really got us interested in is making your own thing, making a startup, figuring out what problem people have and, just working on it. Alhamdulillah, what helped as well is we met a bunch of people from Maps who went through Y Combinator. Um, and we were like, oh, this is really cool, right? Really good accelerator, and they have really good mentorship, really good opportunities. So that opened our eyes to, hey, we could do our own thing. So we actually started working on that, alhamdulillah. We're doing some ideating, trying to figure out what would actually work out. Um, but at the same time, um, seeing these layoffs has made us realize that the only way to stay in a tech field right now is if you specialize in something, you know.
Mm.
You can't just be every general like CS major, right? Um, you have to you have to be at the top of the field in something. That's the only way you can really like have a secure job. Um, or compared to that, if you go into some like niche subsect of CS, that also works. Um, so inshallah, I'm trying to specialize in
Interesting.
something, trying
Wow.
to figure it out.
Interesting. So then I think like as you're thinking about all of this, what are your thoughts about like just your own assumption of where AI would be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What are you like thinking about like the future of like AI looking like?
Mm. So as I learn more, okay, so obviously without knowledge,
Hmm.
all my assumptions are just like guesses basically, right?
Hmm.
Um, but alhamdulillah, as I'm learning more about AI and LLMs and how they work, um, it's very interesting because it's two different things basically. Just LLMs on one hand, and then now what's becoming a big thing is agentic AI, right? Um, I don't know if you've read the paper AI 2027.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah,
The
it's
one there, is it the one they talk about like how what China will do, US will do, and all of those
yeah,
type of
yeah,
things?
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's a bit far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
but it's based on educated guesses. You have to say that, you know? The people who are writing these, they actually have the background in AI that you know that some of what they're talking about is true, right? Um, but I do think that, you know, AI will only uh, progress faster and faster as you go. I don't know if you saw this, but in the early days of ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, just LLMs in general, right? This was when DeepSeek started coming up and Gemini. Researchers in, I think, UW actually, they figured out a problem that had been, you know, plaguing them for like a couple of years. Um, they could solve it almost instantly with LLMs, right? So if you can apply, so obviously LLMs are tools. If you can apply it properly, you can do a lot of things, right? Things that are computationally expensive, things that are, you know, hard for a human to do, you can do very easily with LLMs and everything, right? So if you know how to use it, you can use it very well. And what's gonna happen is people are gonna use, or what the paper was talking about is people are gonna use AI to develop AI.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of like problems that they're talking about how the AI can make the AI evil, or you know. I don't know about that. I'm not that much of an expert. But I do think that there's gonna be a group of experts who are gonna be managing the whole thing, right? Um, so if you manage to be one of those experts, you're set. So that's what you have to aim to be. You have to aim to be an expert in whatever field you are in. You know, this is not just in CS. This is in every field, whatever you are in. If you are an expert in something, then you're needed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So otherwise, you know, you're just a interchangeable piece.
Interesting. It's actually very interesting you actually say this.
Oh, I think your mic stopped working. No, I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Actually, it's very interesting you actually talk about like the expert like proposition for the future. I was actually thinking of like the opposite side of that actually. I was thinking like the future will belong to those who are like multi-expert. So I think I was talking with my younger brother today and he just finished like pharmacy. So then I was
Mashallah.
like, okay, mashallah, what about you go take like an accounting like program? Because then like it's very interesting. You will not find like a pharmacist who tries to take like accounting like program.
Hmm.
So like that intersection of experts is what in my mind, but I think like would actually become very difficult. So a CS person who is also an expert doctor will become like very like it becomes even more, I think it becomes more I think actually it becomes like more expert because then
Hmm.
like you can become like an expert CS person and then you only do CS. But an
Yeah.
expert CS who is an expert pharmacist will become somebody that can now use computers to do drugs better maybe. Or an expert because like imagine like an expert pharmacist who's an expert CS person who is also an expert in like finances. Then
Hmm.
would better know how to even like think about the finances of that before starting to develop the drugs. And he even has like a better idea of like what tools to like use to build it. So I think like I am coming to also agree with what you mean of like an expert, but I think it to be like a bunch of like becoming like an expert. I think also it comes from the book. It's called Where Good Ideas Come From. So the
Okay.
book Where Good Ideas Come From talks about the concept of like liquid networks. And
Hmm.
so liquid networks is basically how new fields come up. So if you think about like biochemistry is a space, at least I think what I remember from the book, that comes from biology and chemistry. So if you
Yeah.
take the most up-to-date part of biology and you take the most up-to-date part of chemistry and you bring them together, those two spaces are spaces nobody is looking at because they're like spaces only those experts will do. And they're usually not very easy to meet together, for example.
Yeah.
And then if you embody that in one person, it becomes even much easier to be able to do. So, and I think they talk about, I think that book or another book talks about like why you see like when you go to like a lot of labs, different people in those labs will just be meeting in the hallways and having lunch and talking because that's where those ideas from one space meets with another person and they're able to come in together. So I think it will still be something about experts, but I feel like there will be something about like experts when like they merge because like imagine if you have like a CS degree, but then you go do some like weird, interesting course, maybe like physics or something like that.
Hmm.
And then that would
Yep.
mean like now you when you look at GPUs, you're not just looking at them in terms of like, what they're computing. You're gonna be looking at it in terms of how is the item itself even formed, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
that's sort of like bringing to what you're saying, that other point. But I don't know.
No, no, you're completely right. You're completely right. If you're able to be an expert in multiple fields,
Mhm.
that's even better, you know? You have you're unique basically.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
Um, but at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do, right?
mhm, mhm,
So if you can, then definitely go for it, you know?
mhm, mhm,
If you're able to do, double major in CS and something else,
mhm,
definitely that makes you, a very wanted person,
mhm, mhm,
because those fields also has to be a field that exists,
mhm, mhm, mhm,
But in those fields, you're going to be the ideal person because you
mhm,
know
mhm,
both of
mhm,
this world and that world.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Um, but if you can't do that, then
Yes.
try to, be the expert in whatever it is you're doing.
Mhm, mhm,
But
mhm.
definitely that is ideal. If you're an expert in multiple fields, then yeah, you're set.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting when we like look back at this maybe like 10 years from now, like, okay, like how did all of this play out? But yeah, I've
Yeah.
been thinking a lot myself because like just what you mentioned about like running a startup and stuff, that's what I do now. And I sort of see like a lot of like what is needed, right? It's usually like you need an expert to be able to get something done, yes. But
Mm.
sometimes you wish you just like have it faster so you can get things done and like move on. So when I think ChatGPT says like what they have is like expert level. I think that's where they were trying to like inch into. Like, so there have been one tool that can become like a multi-expert. And so
Mm.
even that's why when you use AI tools for your company, right, it's no longer like you're just even like one expert. You're bringing all of those experts in you're saying, and then one person is having that, and you can run your company like even more.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know, like if this is an appropriate question to ask you, sort of like now you and your friends are thinking about like problems and stuff. Like what areas are you seeing like problems are that you think like AI can actually go tackle now based on all of these ideations that you guys have been doing?
Yeah, yeah. So the biggest thing, so I know one of my friends was saying this, that if you and your friends sit in a room and you come up with ideas, you're not gonna get anywhere because of a couple of things.
Mm,
Most probably your friends are also tech people, right?
mm,
So you're talking to tech people and brainstorming tech things, whereas everywhere in the world, it's the same thing's happening. Tech people are sitting with tech people and they're coming up with tech ideas.
mhm,
So your idea is either gonna be already implemented, or there's already a better version out there,
mm,
or someone has already went through it and figured out it's not worthwhile,
mm,
right? Um, so instead, what you should do is look how AI and tech can help other fields,
mm.
right? Because tech isn't the only thing that's out there that can be helped by tech, right?
Yes.
Think about really everything.
Mm,
Basically every job out there,
mhm,
you can implement tech in some way or some form. Um, but what's important if you're doing a startup or something, um, is figuring out what people would pay for, and then what has a lot of customers and what is actually implementable. You're not spending millions on it just to implement it, right? So that's the biggest thing. Just go into different fields. I know this guy, he went into YC. What he did is he and his friends, they would go to the most random professions and spend the entire day with them. So he went to a fisherman's boat, spent 2 days there. So he was telling me that he can tell you exactly how a crab goes from the ocean to your plate in a restaurant, right? So you have to understand the whole process. Now that you understand the process, now you can be like, hey, there's this problem that I can see through a CS lens that the guy who's doing the fishing can't see, right? And now that I can see it, now I can be like, hey, actually, I can solve this problem for this guy, and I can charge him for it. That's how you come up with ideas, right? You have to have uh, that experience going into different fields and knowing what's happening.
mm,
If I went into a bank, for example, and I was like, hey, I can help you guys, but I don't know how a bank works, then I can't really help them. Whereas if I know every step of the way, what's happening, what inefficiencies there are, then I can be like, hey, I can fix this for you through CS through this way, right? Um, so that's the biggest thing, just understanding how things work.
It's actually very interesting because there's a lot of like intersections about what you're saying, even with what we're trying to do with like the AI accelerator program we
Mm.
have, which is around like helping teenagers figure out problems end to end and be able to like use AI to solve them. But then I
Oh,
think
okay.
like, yeah, so that's basically what the accelerator program is. Find a problem and you become like the end-to-end person that takes it from one end to the other.
Yeah,
But
that's the
then
same
I
thing then.
think
Yeah, yeah.
so, but as you've been doing all of this, if you were to go back to high school, I guess I'm asking this as I guess a question so we can improve our accelerator program, I guess. But then,
Mm.
like, if you had to go back to high school, even middle school, and be able to train kids to begin to think about like problems in this lens that you're now seeing now, how would you or like how would you structure a course, a program for middle and high school kids so they can begin to see problems like end to end and see how to bring AI into them even before they get to college?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, right now I'm actually a coach at this coding center here. And we teach little kids. So it's really good because I can tie that into it. These kids at this age, um, all they see coding as is either as a game, right? There is like a game for them, or as like work basically. You know, their parents are like, ah, you gotta do this, and they're doing it. Um, but there's some kids who see it as a tool, right? And for them, they're the ones that do the best because what they're seeing is, oh, I'm given this problem, and I couldn't solve it normally, but this cool thing called coding, I can solve it using this, right? And these are the kids that do the best. They go through everything for the fastest, right? Because for them, it becomes a problem-solving scenario. Um, and as kids get bigger as well, this helps a lot because their mindset is now, how do I solve problems using the tool that is coding? Um, and this goes all the way into high school, college as well. Uh, it's the same thing. So if you could implement that psychology of this is a tool, here's some problems, and you can solve it using this tool,
Hmm.
and that really helps a lot.
Interesting. Wow. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you so much for taking the time to
Of
be a
course,
part of
of
it.
course.
I know before you leave, if any parent is listening to this or any youth is listening to this, sort of like, what are your thoughts for like advice for like youths or even teenagers, middle and high school listening to this that you want them to get out of this? And also like what advice you have like for parents to get out of this?
Yeah. Um, so there's a lot that I would change myself
Hmm.
about like my life, about what I did. The biggest thing I want to say is um, there's a lack of grit, you know? There's a book, I think it's just called Grit.
Great. Yes.
Um, but the problem is kids, even me, um, coding and, high school, college, a lot of it went by without any grit, without having that urge to, I have to do something with my life, right? Um, and that's a problem because no matter how skilled you are, how smart you are, if you don't have that push, you're not gonna get anything done. For example, let me give you an example. My dad, mashallah, like when he was little, he did a lot. He did a lot of coding. He barely had access to computers, but this guy would like code on paper with his friends. They'd run through it. I can't even believe doing that myself. But having that grit, you can get anywhere in life, basically. Um, it doesn't matter what situation you're in or, what things are blocking you. If you have that grit, you can find a way. Um, that's the biggest thing. Like for parents especially, don't worry so much about what your kids are learning or, like I see all these parents at CodeWiz where I teach. Um, they're very worried about, oh, what is my son learning, right? But the son is looking at coding as just like, oh, my parents are forcing me to do this, right? That's not gonna get anywhere most of the time because for them it's just it's like school kind of, It's like, oh, I have to go there. It's not fun. It's not interesting. So what's gonna happen is they're just gonna end up dropping it when they get older. Um, Whereas if they have that grit for like, I have to do something, I have to make something of my life, right? Um, I don't, the problem is I don't know how grit comes without hardship. You need some hardship to have that grit, right? There's a really interesting statistic that a very high percentage of soccer players who are professional come from very poor backgrounds.
Hmm.
Because soccer most of the time is the only way out for them. Um, so without hardship, there's not really a room for grit to grow. But if you can make it grow, if you can instill that sense into your kids that, this is really important because this is your life. You're making your life as you go, right?
Hmm.
So everything that you do really affects what you're gonna end up in, what
Hmm.
career you're gonna end up in, what position you're gonna end up in. Um, so if you can put that grit in them, then they'll do well, inshallah.
It's actually very interesting you say this. I think this actually pops me to ask you two questions. I know we were supposed to end,
No,
but
no,
then
no, no
even
worries.
as we run our program, one of the things I've also found is if a kid comes in and they're very like motivated, you actually
Hmm.
need very little energy to get them going. You just show them what they have to do and boom, they're already running with it. But in a place like America, where most parents come, because they didn't hopefully like have enough where they were coming from, and they don't want that to repeat to their kids, so they give them a life of comfort because they don't want that to repeat. How like are you thinking about like just I know maybe it's like just off the mind, but like how do you think you can develop grit in an environment like this where everything that you're sort of like looking for? I remember when I was a child, just even being in a car to go to school was like a big, but now it's like a kid expects his mom or dad to pick them to school. It's no longer like it's not something big. How do you think we can build grit in an environment where everything that you need is there?
That's the biggest question. If I figured that out, I'd be a millionaire right now. But no, you make a very good point,
Mm,
It's hard because it's not like you can take away everything from a kid, right? Um, Being in America, having all these resources, it is a life of luxury and comfort, right? Compared to coming from Bangladesh or, and you don't, as a parent, you can't take that away from your kid, you know? You want to give your kid a life of comfort. Uh, and that's where I don't know. I'm still a kid. When I'm a parent, inshallah, if I can figure this out, my kids are set, inshallah. But that's the
Inshallah.
biggest thing. How to
Yeah.
balance, comfort, but also giving them that sense um of urgency,
Yeah.
that uh,
Interest.
if you figure it out, let me know, inshallah.
I'm working actually. It's funny actually. I was following up with somebody on LinkedIn. I think he's doing his PhD in like early child education or something. And this is why the
Oh,
reason
okay,
actually I
mashallah.
reached out to him. So I actually want to find out like how would you be able to do this? But then
Hmm.
I'll let you know if I find anything. But I
Inshallah,
guess
of
like my
course.
last question that ties I guess everything that we've been doing today together has been like the element of like faith, of like Deen, of like Islam. Sort of through all of these things that you've seen, from like we talked about like your seventh grade, everything you've done. How did you sort of see like the Deen like helped you move through all of this? How did like Islam play a role? What role did it play? And sort of like just that question.
Hmm. So a big thing you'll realize as you go through tech is you can do a lot with tech, but it goes both ways. You can do a lot that's bad with tech,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do a lot that's good with tech,
Mm-hmm.
right? Literally, tech is saving lives every single day. And if you can be a part of that, subhanAllah, think about the barakah that you're getting, right? Um, so if you're someone who wants to make things happen, if you're someone who wants to see changes, tech is a really good line for you. Um, but you have to be focusing on things that are actually going to help people. Um, at the same time, tech can also be, something that's very bad for people.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing it everywhere in the world now.
Mm-hmm.
Tech is being used for horrible things. Um, so it's a double-sided blade,
Mm-hmm.
You can do good and you can do bad with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing good, you can do a lot of good, and if you're doing
Mm-hmm.
bad, you can do a lot of bad.
Yes.
So going into tech with that mindset of, we're Muslims, we have values and we have boundaries. SubhanAllah, you've seen a lot of people, get like leave companies because of their complicitness in like genocides and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of impact you can make.
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of barakah for you, inshallah, if you pick the right path. So
Inshallah.
keep that in mind.
Wow. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you so much, Adiyan. I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
thank you for having me. It was really good to
Thank you
be here.
so much. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Say my salam to your dad, and I'll see
I
you soon,
will.
inshallah. Jazakumullah.
Inshallah, I'll see you inshallah. Okay.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.